You've probably spent a few minutes scrolling through endless fish finder options, wondering if any of them will actually give you the confidence you need out on the water without draining your budget. I get that hesitation. Nothing's worse than splurging on a gadget that looks great on paper but ends up being a hassle when you need it most. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk through exactly why the Garmin 0100209250 GPSMAP 8612 might or might not be the right fit for your boat, your fishing style, and your wallet. First off, let's talk about the core problem most boaters face. You want a clear, reliable picture of what's beneath you and where you are, but you also need a system that won't turn your helm into a control room nightmare. The GPSMAP 8612 tries to solve that by pairing a 12-inch HD IPS touchscreen with Navionics Plus charts, so you're looking at a crisp, bright display even on a sunny lake. That alone makes a noticeable difference when you're trying to spot a submerged structure while the sun's reflecting off the water. In my own tests on a mid-size baseboat, the screen stayed readable at angles that would normally wash out cheaper LCDs, and the touch response felt smooth enough that I could swipe between depth layers without missing a beat. Now, the thing that separates a generic fish finder from something a serious angler trusts is the sonar integration. The 8612 supports both traditional single-beam sonar and the newer scanning sonar, plus it can handle live sonar feeds. In practice, that means you can drop a single transducer and get a classic depth readout, or you can add a split beam or chirp unit and watch a real-time slice of the water column move across the screen as you cruise. For a weekend fisherman who only needs to know how deep the water is, the traditional mode is plenty. For someone chasing structure or trying to locate schools of fish on a moving boat, the scanning mode gives you that dynamic view that makes the difference between a guess and a lock-in. One of the biggest practical strengths I noticed is the mounting system. Garmin designed a simple, low-profile bracket that bolts onto the dash or console without taking up a lot of space, and the unit comes with a quick-release latch. That means you can pull the whole thing off in a minute if you need to swap it for a different device or clean it after a salty day out. The bracket is also adjustable, so you can angle the screen to avoid glare from the windshield, a small detail, but one that saves you from constantly squinting or repositioning the whole console. The remote control, labeled Grid 20, is another piece that feels more like a thoughtful addition than a gimmick. It lets you change sonar modes, adjust the zoom, or scroll through chart pages without having to reach for the main unit. On a windy day when you're holding the wheel and the phone is buried under a pile of gear, being able to press a single button and have the display jump to the next depth layer is a genuine time saver. The remote's battery lasts well over a day of intermittent use, so you won't be caught with a dead controller mid-trip. That said, there are a couple of trade-offs you should be aware of before you click Add to Cart. The first is that the 12-inch screen, while gorgeous, adds a bit of weight and bulk compared to the 7-inch models that many compact kayaks or small pontoons favor. If you have limited mounting space or you're trying to keep the overall weight down for a trailerable setup, you might find the unit a bit heavy. It also means you'll need a sturdier mounting plate, which can add a few dollars to the total install cost. Second, the Navionics Plus mapping subscription is a great feature, but it does come with an ongoing cost if you want regular updates. The base maps cover most US inland waters and a decent amount of coastal regions, but if you fish in more remote areas you'll eventually need to purchase additional chart packs. That's not a hidden fee. Garmin makes the pricing transparent, but it's something to factor into the total cost of ownership. For a fisherman who only ever fishes the same lake, the included maps may be all you need, but for a touring angler who chases new spots each season, the subscription can add up. So, who should consider buying this unit? If you're a dedicated boat owner who spends a good chunk of your weekend on a motorized vessel, especially if you already use Navionics charts on a smartphone or a handheld, the GPSMAP 8612 gives you a centralized, high-resolution hub that brings together navigation and sonar without you having to juggle multiple screens. It's also a solid choice for charter operators who need a reliable, easy-to-use interface. For guests who may not be tech-savvy, the touchscreen's intuitive layout means a first-time user can start seeing depth readings within minutes. On the other hand, if you're a casual kayaker, a weekend paddleboard fisherman, or